All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. We have some very, very unfortunate news today. Very unfortunate. Nick Walker is officially dropping out of the 2024 Mr. Olympia competition. The second year in a row now that we will not see Nick on the Olympia stage. Now, Nick just dropped a video on his YouTube channel here, and Nick has a few words about exactly why him and Matt came to this decision. Um, Matt has a number of words on this as well, which really explains what led them to this decision overall. But yeah, this is a very, very unfortunate situation. We'll get a few more people into the chat here, into the stream, and then we'll start looking at the video that Nick put out here, and I'll give you guys my live reaction to this news. Again, head over to Nick's channel and make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you check out the full video. I will be showing the vast majority of it here, but yeah, very very unfortunate situation here for Nick Walker. Now, I will say just up front, this is not due to an injury. We haven't heard anything like I watched the clips, obviously. Matt and Nick did not say anything about an injury at all, so we can put that to bed here. But again, very unfortunate situation. Nick was poised, I think, to do quite well this year. A lot of people had him within their top five. A lot of people had him within their top three. Some people had him outside of that, granted, absolutely. But Nick really felt that this was going to be his year, as he always does. Don't get me wrong. Nick typically expects that he goes into this planning on winning. He does go into this planning on winning, but yeah, Fast Times. Wow, very surprising. Yeah, I was quite surprised actually. I was quite surprised, especially given the fact that Nick moved from Vegas back to Florida. I thought that was a positive move for Nick's bodybuilding career overall. But again, we'll get into the video clip here in a minute. Uh, Another comment here. I feel bad for Nick. Second time he skips the Olympia. Yeah, yeah, especially for a guy like Nick Walker. Nick really should be on that Olympia stage. He is one of the best in the world, and circumstances just seem to be a hindrance for Nick. It really seems to be a hindrance for Nick. But all right, let's get into some of the clips here, you guys. All right, we'll check out exactly what Nick has to say. It starts out with Matt Jansen here has some words. We'll listen to Matt, and yeah, let's go through some of it here, and we'll talk about it as we go.
Afternoon, October 3rd. This is not a video that we wanted to make, especially after the video that Nick had to make last year, but we made a decision this week for Nick to be not competing in this year's Olympia. It was a hard decision. Obviously, this has been a very hard few weeks for us. And just to be really what we want to do in this video, guys, is just be truly transparent with you and honest with you about where Nick's been at and what the decisions that we made that made us come to this decision, or the thought processes. But honest truth is that Nick right now, in terms of his body, in terms of the bodybuilder that you guys know, his body is just not there. And I've been wrestling with this for a couple weeks. Obviously, Nick and I have had very intentional conversations, but we feel that it's best for not only himself, his career, what's most important, but also for the Olympia, for the current physique that Nick has, to not be represented on the Olympia stage.
Okay, so a few things to unpack there. The bottom line is that they just feel that Nick's physique is not where it needs to be in order to get up on that Olympia stage. for whatever reasons, and they do go into this a little bit more. Nick's body is not responding, I guess, and for him to get up on the Olympia stage, obviously they are not confident in Nick's current look. Now, again, Nick has not been showing any physique updates lately. Well, Nick said at the start of his Olympia prep that he would not be showing really any physique updates, and he held true to that. His reasoning behind that was that he said he just wanted to take a different approach. I don't think that it's fair to say that he knew this was coming for a long time because the New York Pro, obviously did show us what Nick was looking like. It could have been a decision that he made because of his New York Pro look. Maybe he wasn't overly confident in that look. Many people did say that they were not as confident in Nick when it came to his New York Pro look. But either way, this was something that Nick said he was going to, do quite some time ago, not show any physique updates. So let's continue here. Matt has more
You
to
know,
say.
and we did, I want to say that we did everything in our power this year to get him on stage. But at the same time, I know full and well, Nick knows full and well the type of physique that can be represented. And it's just not there. So we can go into the X, Y's, and Z's of why we think that his physique isn't there. And I just think that the honest truth to the reason why his body's not where it needs to be is his physique's just tired. Nick has had a lot of things happen in his life the past few years, and it seems like, and we've talked a lot about this, but it seems like he operated very well in chaos, and his body operated very well in chaos. And over the past 8 months, Nick has done a lot of things to improve not only the quality of his life, but also to go back and kind of fix and mend relationships and just be a better person, be a better human. And it seems like now that he's done that, his body is just finally just like releasing all this tension and stress and turmoil that he's been carrying around for a long time. And it's just throwing up the brakes and saying, hey, like, now's not the time.
Okay, okay. So that's actually interesting. Matt saying that Nick's body responded during chaos, and I think what he meant there was if you look at the last year or two of Nick. Nick grew up in New Jersey. He moved to Las Vegas. He actually was owning a home out in Las Vegas. Um, he was with Maria at the time in Las Vegas as well. That relationship ended, and Nick decided to go home to New Jersey for a period of time while still owning a home in Vegas, and then decided to make the move to Florida, back to Florida. I think to be closer to Matt Jansen and to be closer to his family. Anyone that follows Nick knows that he is very close to his family, his parents, his brother. So we know that Nick has purchased a home in Florida, and I think what Matt's saying is that now that Nick was able to kind of settle in somewhere and work on himself rather than I guess work on himself emotionally, mentally, aside from just physically. Um, there's a there's a lot to unpack there, and the body is really led by the mind. Kai Green had a saying. He put it on T-shirts. He put it on his Instagram. Thoughts become things. And I guess whatever Nick has been going through mentally, you know, um, is affecting his physique, and that does happen. Cortisol release is very well known to affect a physique, but there may be other things happening behind the scene that we have no idea about as well. Um, yeah, difficult situation for Nick. We've got a few comments. Appreciate you guys getting into the comments section here. I think I'm getting everything in terms of comments right now. Yeah, I am. Um, so yeah, he didn't look ready in his recent updates. He needs a break. He's always grinding hard the whole year. It'll be wise to have a long off season. Plus, he needs to cleanse his body. I would say that's probably true. He could probably use a bit of a cleanse as well. Same scenario happened to Andrew Jack, but in a different way. Kevin Henry, his career is done. My guess is his health is in question, and sadly, it's not going to end well for Nick. This Olympia is not going to be great. The open division is losing too much. Well, that's a lot. I appreciate you guys getting into the comments here. We will discuss this, but let's hear a little bit more of what Matt had to say. There's definitely more to unpack here.
So we've done our best to get him in shape, to try to force him into shape. And I woke up. What was it? Monday morning. I woke up Monday morning and I just said, today's the day. We just have to face the music in the sense that this just isn't the year. And again, guys, this is it's hard. It's very hard because going back to last year, Nick had a physique that was so good that nobody got to see. And that's the physique that I'm really being overly critical and judging where he's at this year. And I just know that he's not there.
Yeah, you guys probably remember at a week out from the Olympia, Nick dropped some updates of what he was looking like, and yeah, a lot of people said based on that update that Nick was absolutely correct when he was saying, a lot of competitors are lucky that he wasn't getting on stage that year, and I agree based on what we saw from Nick. But we'll keep going here.
So rather than exposing him and us having to go through the backlash, and here's the thing too, I'm going to say this on Nick's behalf and on my behalf. This isn't a pride decision that we're afraid to fail, but it's truly what I feel is in the best interest of Nick to not step on stage because we know that his body's not operating like it needs to operate.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much like you said.
Okay. Okay. So let's look at a couple more comments here. Kevin Henry's comment here. I don't think that Nick's career is done because of this. I think that Nick is just pushing himself too hard. He's a young guy that went through a lot in a short period of time when it comes to just, growing up to be an adult, the rise to fame, the criticism. It's a lot for someone to take, it's certainly a lot. And couple that with the instability that Nick had moving literally cross country one time and then back again. Probably the uncertainty whether he wanted to stay in Vegas or come home, be closer to his family in Florida, be closer to his coach. It could be lonely. You hear that from pro bodybuilders that it can be a lonely sport, despite needing a team around you. You're really on your own. You're the one that has to eat the meals. You're the one that has to do the training. You're the one that has to do the cardio. There's nobody there to do it for you. You have your support system, like I said, but at the end of the day, it's you. So yeah, I think that may be part of what's fueling this when it comes to Nick. But let's hear a little bit more of what Nick has to say here.
This is probably the hardest decision, Obviously last year with the injury, that was one thing, but, I felt I was in a very good spot going into this prep, how I felt, and I guess, like what Matt said, I think I operate better in chaos, and coming here for the Olympia prep, I truly felt relaxed. I felt okay, and I guess my body did too, and my body just said I need a break. I need to relax, and that was it. And I think a lot of the stress that I, endured over the past year just kind of caught up, and this prep obviously did not go the way we wanted it to, and it sucks because this is the second year in a row that I gotta miss the Olympia that I worked so hard for. And there's so many things that come into play because it's like, all I want to do is win the Olympia for myself and be Matt's first Olympia winner, open Olympia winner. And it's another year I gotta fucking miss it. And it sucks, but, I refuse to step on stage anything less than my best. And I'm still, in my mind, the third best bodybuilder in the world because that's where I left.
Yeah, I've heard Nick say this a number of times now, and that really just speaks to his confidence. I personally think that, although Nick is one of the top guys in the world, I would still consider him one of the top. You put him in the top five, top six easily. Um, I do want to see him get on stage, and I do want to see him compared because, there's a saying in bodybuilding as well that you're only as good as your last competition. I think that that certainly does ring true. And I mean, for me, Nick is certainly still, in the top three in the world. That's a personal thing. When it comes to objectively within the bodybuilding world, Nick's got to get back on stage. He's got to work out whatever it is that he's dealing with here now. But yeah, clearly it's not where he wants to be, and I think it does take a lot to get to this decision as well. This is definitely not a decision that Nick has made lightly, but obviously he knew that this was not going to turn out well for him when it comes to being on that Olympia stage. I'd like to actually see what physique updates him and Matt did have. Um, he might consider posting them after the Olympia. A few comments from you guys here. Fast Time says, I don't know if I buy Matt's woo-woo explanation. He hit the PEDs too hard, too fast, and now he's paying the price. That's certainly a possibility. That's something that we'll probably never know as to how much Nick has been doing. Um, Fair to say that Nick is probably harder on himself than he should have been. There may be the possibility that they were pushing the PEDs more than they should have, and you can only push those things so far. Possibilities there, but again, we have no idea. Um, Fast Times, but at least they recognize he won't be competitive in this current state. Practical decision. Yeah, I think it was. If they know that they're not going to be as good, at least as when they last stepped on stage, then for Nick, that's a step backwards. And when you are at this level, these are the decisions that you have to make. I will say that you don't hear these decisions very often. In such a direct way of we don't have the look right now. But yeah, they're just being open and honest about it. Aussie lifts, yeah, man, no Crizo, Burton, Rami, or Beirut. Unfortunate. Yeah, very unfortunate. I was actually doing a video on, I was finishing one up on Beirut, Martin. I had a couple other guys in there, and I'm still going to release that video later today. But yeah, when this came up, I just wanted to jump on live here so you guys can get my live reaction. Let's keep going here, see what else Nick has to say. And yeah, he had about a 10-minute video, so we'll get through it.
And with the way I was looking, it just wasn't going to be that way. So we made a very hard decision and said, look, this isn't your best package. This is certainly not going to be what we want to present on stage. And we need to let my body chill and rest and regroup, and just kind of figure out the next plan after that. But
yeah, the next plan after that, that's going to be
I
an
know my
interesting
time will
one, I think,
come.
for Nick. What that plan is going to be,
I know my time will come.
that's going to be a very good question. I would say that you'll end up seeing Nick take, a year off. I don't, and I really don't know. They go over a little bit of what they think their plans might be in the future, sorta. Um, a lot of this is really fresh, so there's going to be more information that comes out as time goes on. I wonder if Nick is even going to be at the Olympia at this point. I don't think I caught that in my first run through of this footage. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Get into the to the comments there. Let me know what you think. A few more comments. DJ Fook says he knew he wasn't going to be in the top five. You're all done. Well, I think he did know that he was going to be outside that top five. Yeah. If Nick thought he was going to be in the top five, then I think he would have kept going because it's a very competitive lineup this year. As your competition increases, you know, like Nick was third in his last Olympia. Well, although it would be perceived as a step backwards, you could certainly justify Nick taking the top five in a better lineup, you know. Even though at face value, I mean, yeah, you're taking a lesser placing. Well, I don't think that's something that Nick could take. I don't think that's something that Nick could take. What Nick needs to be careful of now, I think, in my opinion, and I don't think this is a downfall necessarily, but if Nick will not accept anything better than top three at the Olympia, what's it going to look like next year if he doesn't think that he can make the top three? What's it going to look like the following year if he doesn't think that he can do better? Is Nick only going to step on stage if he thinks that he can be top three or better? it's an interesting conversation. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let's listen to a little bit more of what Nick has to say.
Um, I guess, like, Matt said, I've been just on the go, 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 and I think it's finally just caught up. And right now, I just need to listen to my body and do what's best. And I just believe now the best is yet to come. So we will figure it out.
Guys, what I'm most thankful for in this situation that's not ideal at all is, two things I want to mention. Obviously, Nick and I internally, we made this decision as a team. And then the next step after making it as a team is that we needed to talk to the IFBB head officials, the Manions. We needed to talk to the Olympia, and they've all been super understanding. So we really appreciate that, because obviously this is a hard decision. And we also know that Nick is such an important part of the Olympia.
Yeah, I really didn't think that the Manions or the Olympia would have anything to say. It's only well, yeah, it is. It's only to their benefit that Nick shows up at his best as well. Like Matt said, Nick is a very important part of the Olympia. He absolutely is. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the competition, it's in everybody's best interest for Nick to show up at his best. And clearly, he was not confident that he would do that this year. We'll look at a couple of comments here. Bro, you can still do the Olympia. You still have a few days. Nah, he's not going to do it at this point. No, he's just not going to do it. Um, the decision is out there. They've made it. That's it. Um, Jorge Romero, he just chickened out. I don't think that it's so much that he chickened out. Nick's a pretty straight shooter. Nick's a very confident guy. I really do think that they just think the look isn't there. Call it chickening out if you want, but one could call it a smart business decision. A very difficult decision to make, no matter what. You know, Mike the Corn King, that fifth place spot is looking good for the likes of Martin or Raphael, but Nick's absence will be felt for sure. There's like only 13 guys competing this year. Yeah, the Open is getting pretty sparse. It's getting pretty sparse for competitors in comparison to what we saw in the last couple of years. So, yeah, that does open up a spot for, Martin, Raphael, Hunter Labrada. It's uh it's getting tighter and tighter for sure. Opportunities for guys to really move up. It's unfortunate we won't see guys like Crizzo in there. I think that even Tonio could have capitalized on something like this. Um, Nick Bedola, he's out again. What happened? You'll be able to see that basically Nick said that Nick and Matt both came on here to say that Nick just is not responding the way that they were expecting him to, and no, probably because I got the video turned up too much. I'll turn down the video a bit, turn myself up. Let me know if that's any better. Um, Yeah. Again, unfortunate situation just all around. Really, really wanted to see Nick on that Olympia stage. I really wanted to see Nick on that Olympia stage. We'll get into some more of that. Um, let's listen to some more of Matt here.
That this doesn't just impact us, it just doesn't impact us in our internal circle of this town, it impacts a lot of people. So their support has been something that's really meant a lot to us. But also, this type of thing that happens, it can destroy a relationship between two people. And I just want to truly say, and you guys will see this in the months to come, Nick and I are great. We're going through this together. As I said, it's my responsibility ultimately to protect his body, his image, and his health. And I hold that in very high regard.
Well, I think it's definitely Matt's responsibility when it comes to a portion of Nick's health rather. That's for sure. I don't know if it's necessarily his responsibility to protect his image. I think that's mostly on Nick, although the physique is part of that image, obviously, one of the biggest parts, of course. Um, But yeah, Matt, I think it speaks more to the relationship that Matt and Nick do have. When it comes to even outside of bodybuilding. Yeah, even outside of bodybuilding. Let's keep going here.
And also, I want to also thank one other person, and that's Neil Hill. As I was kind of going through this and wrestling with this in my head, I reached out to him because he's somebody that's been such an instrumental part in my coaching and in my life. And I just said, hey, what would you do in my situation? And he spoke some words of wisdom into me, and that was also very helpful in making this decision. But Nick and I are good, and that to me is what's most important. We're not pointing the finger at each other. We truly did. What's such a head scratcher about this situation is we did what we always did. The environment was better. Nick's mental health has been better than it ever has, and it's just like as we were going on, it's just like the response was nothing like we've seen, and that's what made us come to this decision. So we don't need to drag this video out forever. I know Nick is still going to be present at the Olympia. That's something that's very important to him.
Oh, okay, that's good. So Nick is still going to be at the Olympia. That's good. I think that's probably something that Nick. It's probably going to be hard for him, in one regard. He'll have a lot of the same questions asked and a lot of the same answers, I'm sure. But I think overall, the best decision is for Nick to be at the Olympia. I really think so. Um, and yeah, I figured that him and Matt were good. They do have a very close relationship that way. A few other comments here. Eugene Engelhardt, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Never underestimate the psychological part of every competition and the stress your body has to endure. At the end, only one who knows what is going on is you. Take good care of your own well being first. Now, that is very well said. That is very well said. Thank you for that comment. That's very, very well said. And I think that this is probably in around the lines of what Nick had to, come to the realization of himself was exactly that. Uh, as much as Matt can tell him, Nick, the look just isn't there. Well, why is the look not there? When you start unfolding the layers, I think that Nick came to some realizations. So yeah, he really just needs to chill out, let his body reset, kind of thing. It happens to a lot of competitors. Warhammer says his sponsorships are going to go south. Well, his biggest sponsor is sitting right in front of him, and I don't think that Matt is. I don't think Matt's going to drop him as an athlete anytime soon, or ever, really. Um, if you've seen some of the videos that they've put out previously on, how they just feel like Nick is home and, this is the place for him, yeah, the sponsorships would be fine. Might affect him a little, but not a ton. They couldn't get his midsection down. I don't know. Nick just isn't responding to the dosages anymore. Again, I don't know. Um, to whatever extent, Nick is not responding. Probably to the dosages, probably to the diet, it's probably everything. I mean, it's probably everything. Let's let Matt finish up his thoughts
He
here.
still believes that he has a fan base that he doesn't want to disappoint any more than potentially this already will. But again, guys, and also too, I don't want to say, hey, we'll see you at the Arnold. Like obviously, like our plan going into this was Olympia and Arnold. But Nick and I had a very intentional conversation yesterday that we are going to see Nick's physique when Nick's physique starts to respond again. So that's going to be with a time of rest. That's going to be a time with him not being so meticulous, just enjoying life a little bit more in Nick's terms, which is still very, very structured, but less structure than what he's used to, because I truly think that there's just a stress component to this that he just needs to just chill. So we're gonna, and the thing too is he's still, in terms of bodybuilding, he's still so young, and again, this sucks really bad. It does. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But this isn't the end. It's just making a decision right now that's in Nick's best interest for where we're at right in this moment, for the long term of his career.
Okay. Okay. So Matt acknowledges the fact that Nick does just need to he needs to chill out a little bit. You got to pull back every so often. Bodybuilding. John Meadows said it countless times. Bodybuilding is one step forward and two steps back. And I don't think that Nick has taken those two steps back in quite some time, really since he came on the scene in what was it, 2021, where he really broke through after that Chicago Pro and then oh, just to answer your question, Black Patron, they didn't go into any other detail. No, they just said that Nick wasn't responding and that they would not present the package on stage that they really wanted to. So they made this decision. A few other comments here. We'll get to some of the comments. Andrew Jack is putting the fear into these guys and making them quit early. Uh, that could be part of it. That could be part of it. Everybody looks like they're going to be improved this year. Even Hottie, I think, is going to be improved, and many people say that Hottie's physique has been maxed out for quite some time. Derek looks like he is rounder through the shoulders, which is hard to believe. It looks like he's going to be bringing pretty good conditioning, but we'll have to see when it comes to Derek. Hunter Labrada, absolutely. Really bringing it this year. Samson, as we just saw, definitely bigger. We'll see about the conditioning factor at the Olympia, but he's very confident as well. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I feel like Nick really focuses more on himself and not necessarily what anybody else is doing. But who knows? Who knows? I'm sure that the other ones are a part of it. You know, um, Eugene Engelhardt. Don't worry about what people say because people are judgmental. Without knowing all the facts, take care and be safe. Do what's best for you, Nick, and his team. Absolutely, and that's exactly what they're doing here. They're just trying to do what they think is best for them and for Nick's career long term. Matt also spoke about the fact that you know Nick is a young guy in terms of bodybuilding, and it's true. He hasn't really had a break. He hasn't really had a break. He's been nonstop trying to make improvements, the leg workouts, constantly trying to grow those legs. Nick has been relentless with that. But like I said, either way, this is a shock. I'm still surprised. I don't think anybody's surprised because of the fact that we haven't seen any updates. Nick said long ago that he wasn't going to put on any updates there, physique updates this time around. Maybe this was part of why, because they weren't really seeing the physique respond even after New York, and they just said we'll just keep trying, keep trying. Again, who really knows? Who knows? At least he was lucky enough to win a show this year. Yeah, and the New York Pro at that. Not just any show. So that was a big one. He is walking away with a victory this year. What worries me about Martin is that in his last update, his front lat spread didn't seem to have changed at all. So I was working on a video before this actually happened, and I'm gonna upload that later today on Martin is part of it. I've got an update from Rafael Brandau, Jihoon Bang, who's I think is going to do very well in Classic. I touched on the Beirut Tabani thing as well. Uh, Otherwise, Martin's very exciting. He is, yeah, he is. If he brings if he brings better conditioning and I think separation in the arms from the front, especially, between the biceps and triceps, then I think that's going to make a big difference. I think that'll make a big difference. Another very young guy in bodybuilding. So yeah, again, you guys, Nick Walker officially out of the 2024 Mr. Olympia. We will not see Nick on that Olympia stage this year, unfortunately. The decision has been made. Although he will be at the Olympia, I do think that's a good move as well. But he will not be competing. So if anybody out there is going to the Olympia and you do see Nick, certainly offer him a word of support. Let him know that the bodybuilding world wants to see him on that stage at his best, because I think that we all do. I think that we all do. Unfortunately, we won't see it this year. Matt spoke of the Arnold as well. I don't think that it's even appropriate to speak of any other show at this point for Nick to do. Let it ride. Let him chill out. Let him bounce back, and yeah, that's what he needs right now. That's what Nick really needs. Uh, Black Patron says it's like he doesn't open it up at all. Almost makes it look like a front relaxed. Everyone buy a T-shirt from Nick. Yeah, go buy a Walker Nation T-shirt. Yeah, and again, the entire video is on Nick's YouTube. Go subscribe to Nick's channel. I was doing a little bit of research leading up to the Olympia on Nick. Um, just to kind of get a feel of where his mental state is. And yeah, wasn't I wasn't overly confident from what Nick was saying. He seemed like he was, obviously tired, because doing videos at 2 and 3 weeks out is definitely, not the best time you're going to see a guy extremely energetic. When I was looking at Nick's training footage, I think that he was still looking strong. He said that his strength was staying relatively, pretty good, definitely up there. But clearly, it just wasn't enough. Clearly, it just wasn't enough for Nick to really pull it all together. He needs time. That's what it comes down to. Is Nick just needs he needs time. Um, Mike the Corn King says Raphael was holding his own next to Samson at the Arnold Classic Ohio, so I can see him giving Andrew, Hottie, Derek, and Samson a run for their money this year. Yeah, I've got an update coming out on Raphael later today. You guys will see that a little bit later today, but we'll uh, we'll wrap this up here in the next couple of minutes. I just wanted to get a quick update out for you guys on this. Black Patron says, "Well, now we have another comeback to look forward to along with Crizzo, and we do. Tony O'Burton you can throw in there as well. Charles Griffin, I think you'll see him come back in 2025. So still some very big names out there that'll really mix it up, in that top 10 at the Olympia in 2025. Especially if we see the improvements from Tonio, we see the improvements from Charles, that'll be exciting. And now we can throw Nick potentially into that space. Do I think that Nick's career is done? No, absolutely not. Absolutely 100% no. Nick will continue, and I think that Nick will come back better after this because the body, just needs a break. It just needs a break. That's really what it comes down to for Nick. So, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thank you for tuning in to this quick live stream. Nick Walker officially out of the 2024 Mr. Olympia. Stay tuned for more updates between now and the Olympia. We're currently at a week out. I have a podcast that I did with Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding, Dylan at Project Bodybuilding. I had Mark's Max Muscle, Josh Sanch at Bodybuilding News Network. We'll be releasing hopefully one or two more before the Olympia as well. And my predictions. Stay tuned for my predictions video. That'll be coming out in the near future. This is one of the reasons why I typically wait to do my predictions because things happen. Things happen, and this is just another one of those instances. So, best of luck to Nick Walker. Kudos to Nick Walker and Matt Jansen, for putting this out there. Rich B bummed out that Nick won't be there 2 years in a row, but he and Matt know his body the best. Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. But Nick will be back. So again, thank you everybody for stopping into the live stream. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We will be going live for the Olympia all weekend long.